Thank you for tuning in to tonight's game. Your game is coming up next. But here's some information from the Indiana High School Athletic Association.
6 easy ways to become an MVP. And by MVP, we mean most valuable parent. Like all of us, the parents of high school athletes tend to protect their children from adversity, or they overly involve themselves by advocating for their success. But when they do, they're negating the value of participating in high school sports. Among other lessons, high school sports teach teenagers to take nothing for granted, how to overcome obstacles, and that an extraordinary commitment of time and effort is required in order to reach goals and experience achievement. High school sports also encourage independence and self-sufficiency, attributes that are needed to be successful in life. It's natural for parents to love their children, and it's important to support them in as many ways as possible. With this in mind, here are 6 easy ways that you can be the MVP of your child's high school team. Number 1, attend your children's games as often as possible. Nothing demonstrates interest and involvement more than being there. And be sure to invite Grandma and Grandpa to come along with you. Number 2, cheer for all the kids on the team, not just your own. Here's a test for you. Do you know all the players on your child's team? Could you say hello to them by their first name? Embracing the entire team is a great way to show that your interest is sincere. Number 3, be a resource for your child's team. Does a teammate need help with transportation? Is the team trying to raise money for new uniforms? Is someone needed to organize a pizza party before the tournament starts? Maybe you can help. Number 4, try not to criticize the coach or the officials in front of your child. Hey, you're human, and there may be times when you need to vent, but be careful when and to whom you do it. Criticizing the coaching staff undermines its credibility and tends to put your child in the middle. And games are seldom won or lost because of an official's call. Remember, coaches and officials are objective. Most parents are not. Empower your child to talk with the coach about concerns. Everybody wants more playing time, and understandably so. But encourage your children to have that conversation with their coaches instead of you doing it for them. Giving teenagers the confidence and conviction to speak up for themselves is one of the greatest benefits of participating in high school sports. Number 6, focus on the life lessons your children are learning, not on win-loss records or how many points they're scoring. According to the NCAA, only about 2% of all high school athletes win a sports scholarship, and the average value of it is less than $11,000. But every child will benefit from the lessons they've learned as a result of participating in high school sports for the rest of their lives. It's difficult being the parent of a high school athlete. There's far more emotion and social pressure involved than is ideal. But if you follow these 6 pointers, not only will your children love and respect you, but so will their teammates and coaches. And you might even be named MVP. Thank you for your support of high school athletics in Indiana. Stay tuned now. The Indiana SRN game is next. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
And a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Indiana High School basketball here on Indiana SRN. Covenant Christian High School, the site of the Bostic Memorial Tournament, and tonight's championship game between the number 7th ranked Tipton Blue Devils in Class 2A against the Covenant Christian Warriors and the host team here at Andrew Smith Court. Hi again, everybody. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Devender as we are set for a solid ending to not only a holiday tournament as you would any tournament, ending it with a championship game, but also the last edition of the Bostic Memorial Tournament. Of course, a memorial tournament set up in memory of Scott Bostic, who passed away in 2005, an outstanding college and high school basketball official, an event that is centered around a scholarship fund for his daughters, and this is the last year that this tournament will take place, as his youngest daughter is now a senior in high school. So the tournament reaching its conclusion, but obviously his memory will live on along the sport of high school basketball. And a great way to end it, as I bring my partner in crime, Thad, a great way to end this big event with two teams that saw each other last year and are set to duke it out once again. Covenant looking to get a win against the top-ranked team in their very own Class 2A setup. Meanwhile, Tipton looking to improve to 9-1 on the year.
Yeah, the Blue Devils come in, pretty solid team. They beat Covenant Christian in the same exact matchup in the last year's championship game by 3 points, 51-48. They got a new head coach, though, Cliff Hawkins. He's been around the block a couple times. His 39th year as a high school basketball head coach, so first time for Coach Hawkins here at the Bostic Memorial Tournament, but should be a pretty good matchup, and a couple of teams that maybe not necessarily are exact opposites, but teams that like to play a little bit of different style.
We're going to dive a little bit deeper into those styles as we roll on here. We're going to step out briefly when we come back. We'll have our pregame show, a deep look inside this series between these two teams, and we await tip-off between the 7th ranked in Class 2A Tipton Blue Devils and the host Covenant Christian Warriors right here on Indiana SRN.
Your home and office make up a big part of your world. Sometimes trying to manage it all on your own can make you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And when the weight of the world is on your shoulders, you need a strong back or two to come to your rescue and haul your stress away. You need the College Hunks. Whether it's time to clear some space for new memories, to reinvent the room around you, or to simply pack up and move into a fresh new beginning, you can count on the Hunks to bear your burden so you don't have to. Let us move you today.
Whether or not you've ever stepped into a church before, you've probably seen one of these, a Bible. It's the most read, most translated, most debated, most placed in a hotel room book of all time, and people have been reading it for thousands of years. And yet, for many of us, the Bible can feel really complex and intimidating. I mean, where do we start? And what does an ancient book have to do with everyday life in Murfreesboro, Tennessee? Well, there's a million different ways to start trying to get a better understanding of the Bible. You can read it on your own, study it with others, or even come to a service in Three Crosses or New Harvest Sanctuary to hear people teach about it. Heck, you can even take some classes about the Bible across I-24 at MTSU. But this year at World Outreach, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to dive in and look at the Bible as one great big story, to get to know the characters and storylines like we would if we were watching an epic movie. We're going to take a journey together along the timeline of this great story. Our hope is, in the end, that we'll see the Bible in new ways, that the story would come to life and change us, that we'll find that we truly have a mighty source in the Bible. So sit back, take a deep breath, and get ready, because here we go. The narrative of the Bible starts with God. The Bible is an unfolding drama about God and about what God is doing on planet Earth. The story begins with Earth in chaos and God beginning to bring order to that chaos. Over the course of 6 days, God spoke and our world began to take shape. Each day, God would stop and look at whatever was created, clouds or grass or mountains or raccoons, and think, that's good. The world was perfect, just as God intended it to be. Then, on the 6th day, God decided to make a creature called man by scooping up some dirt from the earth and breathing life into it. God named him Adam. God placed Adam in a garden that was full of plants and animals. Then, God told Adam it was his job to take care of everything in the garden, even to name each and every one of the animals. In the garden were two unique trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God told Adam to eat anything from the garden, except for the fruit that came from the tree of knowledge. As you're probably already aware, the story doesn't end there. At some point, God decided it wasn't good for man to live alone. God wanted a suitable companion and helper for Adam, but nothing else God had created so far did the trick. So God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep and pulled a rib out of his body, using it to form another creature. God called this creature woman and named her Eve. After doing all this amazing work, God took a break on the seventh day. God gave a special blessing on this day of the week, setting it apart to be different than the other 6 days. Adam and Eve lived in the garden, enjoying a perfect relationship with one another. They lived perfectly with their surroundings, taking care of the earth as God had told them to. And they had a perfect relationship with God, spending time with God each day. Talk about mighty. That's some pretty amazing stuff God did. Not a bad start to the story, huh? Life, for now, was just as God had intended it to be.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group.
Life comes at you fast, so it's important to have some help along the way.
Ah, my favorite patient. Ah, my favorite patient.
When the dust settles, it doesn't always end as anticipated. Embrace the journey and care for the ones around you.
My favorite patient.
For everything else and every stage in between,
My favorite patient.
Methodist Sports Medicine is here for you.
At the point we left off in the story, everything was going just as God had intended. God had given Adam and Eve a perfect world and a perfect relationship with one another, with their surroundings and with God. Yep, sounds a lot like today. People getting along, everybody loving God, taking care of the earth. Yeah, not so much. So what happened? Well, a serpent in the garden came to Adam and Eve and tried to convince them to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the same tree that God had told them not to. The serpent told them that they would be just like God if they ate from it. Well, we don't know what the exact kind of fruit was, an apple, an orange, or a juicy Tennessee tomato. And we don't know for sure whether they believed the serpent or wanted to find out for themselves. The fact of the matter is, Adam and Eve ate that fruit. This decision would change the course of history and had immediate consequences. Adam and Eve couldn't live in the garden anymore, and their perfect relationship with God and each other was broken. From there, things just seemed to get worse. One of Adam and Eve's sons murdered his brother, and their grandchildren did all sorts of wicked things. We're trying to keep it as PG as possible here at World Outreach, so we'll skip over the nastier details, but as the population of the earth grew, evil and wickedness took over. How would things ever get back to the way God had intended at the start of creation? At one point, things got so bad that God was sorry for ever creating humans. You heard that right. God was sorry for making humans. It's in the story. You can look it up. So, God decided to start over by wiping out the entire population of Earth with a great flood. He spared one man named Noah and his family and a bunch of animals that Noah loaded into a giant boat. But soon after the flood, Noah's kids and grandkids started to rebel against God, and some of them even completely forgot about God. Again, These parts of the story are better suited for an audience of 18 and up, but suffice to say, violence and hatred was everywhere. From the look of things, it seemed like there was just no hope for human beings. But God's plan was still emerging. God appointed a special group of people to be a blessing to others and help bring things back to the way they were intended to be. God started this group with one man named Abraham, telling him that God would use his family to bless the rest of the world for generations to come. There was just one problem. Abraham didn't have any children. None. Zero. Which might not have been a problem, except that he was already 75 years old, and his wife Sarah was far too old to have children. Wow. Imagine what it would be like if God told one of the oldest couples in this church that they were going to have a baby. Can you imagine your reaction? Can you imagine their reaction? As difficult to believe and downright silly as the promise seemed, Abraham and Sarah waited for God to make good on it. And sure enough, Sarah actually became pregnant, giving birth to a son they named Isaac, which means laughter. And so it began. Isaac grew up, married, and had twin sons. One of these twins, Jacob, got married and had 12 sons of his own. These 12 sons became the leaders of 12 tribes in this new nation, a nation that would bless all people. God gave this nation a name, Israel. It seems God had a way of following through on a promise, just not always the way Abraham, Sarah, or even we might expect.
Our family has been very happy working with Wallflower Pictures.
Because they make sure that I get the acting skills that I need in this industry and the education that I need.
Wallflower Pictures supports UV's journey in the industry. They're very passionate about his growth, and they're very professional and attentive to our needs.
And I truly believe in the projects I've worked on, like For the Boys and The Walk.
We love working with Wallflower Pictures.
Welcome back to Covenant Christian High School, just above Andrew Smith Court. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Vandevender as we set up for what should be an exciting tilt between two Class 2A schools, the Covenant Christian Warriors and the 7th ranked in Class 2A Tipton Blue Devils. Both these teams played in the morning sessions. And for Covenant Christian, getting their 4th win on the season, Thad, came via a very high-scoring affair and a very impressive individual performance as well.
Yeah, so they won earlier over Grove City Christian out of Ohio, 104-46. Several school records were trounced in that outcome, so they scored 104 points, school record for points scored in the game. They made 18 three-pointers as a team, school record. Noah Hedrick, the leading scorer for the Warriors, made 10 threes in that game, also breaking the school record. And he scored 48 points in the morning contest, also a school record.
That is impressive, to say the very least. Always good to see a record-breaking outing, let alone at 10:30 a.m. on a Friday morning. That's always nice to get that done before lunchtime, so that's special. And then on the Blue Devils side of things, they pick up their 9th victory today, and for them it wasn't exactly a struggle either.
They took out Traders Point Christian Academy 75-43, and coming into the tournament today, it was thought upon that we would get this rematch Covenant against Tipton here in the championship game. Both of those teams putting in good work this morning to set up that rematch. We talked about Tipton, new head coach, and Cliff Hawkins. He's a guy that's been around the block. 39th year as a head coach in the state of Indiana. He's been all around. He spent many years at DeKalb High School in northern Indiana, where he coached Mr. Basketball Luke Recker. Spent some time on the south side of Indianapolis in Greenwood at Center Grove. He's been at Madison. He's been at North Miami. Now in his first year at Tipton. And this is really a school, a community, and a program that really kind of fits Coach Hawkins' personality. He had great success at DeKalb and Tipton with all of their success through the years. They haven't had a losing season since 2004-2005. So this just really kind of fits what he has. And it doesn't hurt that he's got two kids that are averaging 16 points a game coming into today.
From a perspective of Covenant Christian's style of play. We talked a little bit about it off air, but you likened it to that of the, not anymore, they still play fast, but at the height of their powers, the 2014 to 2018 Golden State Warriors. A very up-tempo outing is what Covenant Christian likes to attack from your conversation with Coach Scott Flatt.
Yeah, Coach Flatt, and he's been this way for the past couple of seasons, really, but his team likes to get up and down. I would liken it actually a little bit more to pre-Kevin Durant Warriors when it was just Splash Brothers
right.
and Draymond Green. His son, Trey Flatt, he'll be starting today. He's number 3. Trey kind of plays that Draymond Green type of role for them. He can grab a board, he can push the tempo up, and then you've got Hedrick, you got guys filling lanes, and they're going to want to try to get some shots up. They're not as concerned about, how many passes or how long we have possession. They want to take that first good shot that they see, and they want to get this score up. They are more comfortable when the score of any game gets up into the 70s. They don't want to play in the 50s or 60s. They want to get above 70 and really put some pressure on the defense.
On the Blue Devils side of things, and we kind of talked about this a little bit as well in our conversation off air, that at least from their scoring output, you would think that regardless of the pace, they also know how to score points in a hurry. Despite that, though, they might want to actually turn the tempo way down to not let Covenant Christian get into the rhythm they're seeking tonight.
Yeah, and talking with Coach Flatt prior to the game, he expects Tipton to not necessarily just slow the tempo down to a crawl, but just try to dictate tempo a little bit with their defense, and he thinks that they're going to show a couple of different zone looks defensively just to try to get back, slow that offense down to where they're not being able to be free-flowing and moving as they were in the early contest where they were really sharing the basketball. The other thing that Coach Hawkins will do is, and he's shown this throughout his career, is they're very adaptable to a style of play, but they're really going to have their mindset on not allowing transition hoops for Covenant Christian here tonight. So it's really going to be a focus of Covenant is, 1, rebounding the ball and trying to push that tempo and get up and down a little bit, and then 2, making sure that they can find early shots before that zone really gets set up.
Tipton comes into the night's ball game 9-1 on the season, and I don't want to misquote either one of us, but at least from a schedule perspective, it hasn't been a murderer's row to start the year for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, toughest test that they faced was last weekend. They were at Westfield, and the Shamrocks took them out in that game. They played a pretty quality program in Frankton and won by 3 at Frankton. Coach Brobson does a great job up there with the Eagles. That's a good win, but not a great win. They're just hovering around 500 right now as Frankton. They did get a couple of conference victories over Western and over Cass. So I would say that those are good wins, but not great wins. But overall, I think this is a really, really good test here, kind of mid-year for Tipton. This is their 9-1. This is going to be their 11th game coming into tonight, and this is really a good kind of barometer game for Tipton to kind of see where they are, not only against a really good ball club, but another 2A opponent in Covenant Christian.
And on the Warriors side of things, they're 4-2 right now. Their schedule hasn't exactly been the toughest either. Both of these teams could learn a lot from one another tonight.
Yeah, best 2 teams that Covenant played were back-to-back games over Greenwood Christian and Brebeuf. Greenwood Christian is a top 5 team in 1A. I believe they're still undefeated at this point. Brebeuf with Coach Howard, they've really put together a really nice program over there, have the Braves. So those were the 2 best teams that they've played so far. They came up short on both of those, but a really good win early this morning where they really just took care of business, winning by 60. So tonight will be a good test. This is where you want to see, this is what you want to do with these holiday tournaments. You want to kind of see where your team is at, kind of at this midway point in the season, and then you know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you've got 2 months to work on them before the postseason.
What do you anticipate? Do you think that we're going to be able to see that type of high-paced action that Covenant will like to play, or do you expect this to really be something that Tipton proves themselves as a 9-1 team that is deserving of that 7th ranking in Class 2A, despite the kind of soft schedule to start?
I think the first 8 minutes is going to tell us a lot in this game. If Covenant's going to be able to get that tempo up and really going early, I really like their chances. If Tipton is able to slow the tempo down, Coach Hawkins has them kind of flowing the way they want to, I think we're going to see a lower scoring game, probably in the 60s. That's kind of mid-range where Tipton wants this game to be at.
Well, we mentioned that this is the Bostic Memorial Tournament. It is the last edition of the Bostic Memorial Tournament in memory of the late Scott Bostic, an outstanding college and high school basketball official, as well as a Christian educator who served as principal of Traders Point Christian Academy. And this event itself set up towards the scholarship funds for his daughters. His oldest daughter currently is a senior in high school, so this event reaching its conclusion once tonight's festivities are complete. Again, we're going to have a full slate of action for you in this Bostic Memorial Championship game as the Covenant Christian Warriors at 4-2 on the season get set to battle the number 7th ranked Class 2A Tipton Blue Devils. Currently at midcourt, we mentioned the Bostic Memorial Tournament, but the daughters of Scott Bostic currently being honored as they do each and every year, and that it really is within tragedies such as this to see communities get together and do something special, something that's going to impact so many lives off the court, but especially for the Bostic family, and to be able to, not have to worry about those kind of things financially, losing your father of all things and a provider for your family. To see a community come together around them over the last 15 years is truly special and remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about that throughout the course of this tournament, through these 15 years, they've raised over $30,000, which is just great. It's unbelievable, that kind of support that you've seen. And, for Scott Bostic, he was a very highly rated official, but he was also one of those kind of founding pillars, if you will, of Traders Point Christian Academy, and not only from where they were, but where they've grown to now. Obviously not a huge school, but from where they were to kind of take them to where the vision was to where they've gotten to today is a testament to what he did as principal there, and what he was able to provide to that Traders Point community and to that school.
And you and I talked about it as well with Covenant Christian, being such a generous host for this event for the last 15 years, that now with the event's conclusion, Covenant will likely be in need of a new holiday tournament to take part in a big gap within their schedule.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Flatt earlier, and he said, I don't really know where we're going to land at this time, but it'll be interesting to kind of see where we can go. And it's not just the boys part of the tournament either. There's a girls tournament. There's a 7th and 8th grade tournament that goes on that coincides with all this. So it's a full slate of games all day long, and all the proceeds go to raise money for the Bostic family. But, Coach Flatt was like, after 15 years, and it's kind of run its course, if you will, it'll be kind of nice to maybe take a break from hosting a tournament during the holiday season. And like he said, there's a lot of great holiday tournaments, not only around central Indiana, but around the state. And he's like, and it might be beneficial for us to go check out another tournament, maybe, do an overnight trip with the guys, use it as a bonding experience for them. But a couple of options that they're looking at, but nothing concrete for what the 2020-2021 season may look like.
As we continue to honor the Bostic family here at Covenant Christian on Andrew Smith Court, we're going to step out for the final time on our pregame show. When we come back, we'll go through lineups, stats, keys to the game, and the tip between the Covenant Christian Warriors and the Tipton Blue Devils right here on Indiana SRN.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
It was a challenge that was given by my father. He wanted me to give back much more than I had been. Then I realized that when he said more, he wanted me to see how I could give more. And it wasn't just in money, but in time and in services. And that's how the Morales Group was created.
I started off at Morales Group as an intern. I interned for 3 years before going on full-time staff here. What I love most about Morales Group is that big family aspect. I come from a big family in Mexico, and since the company is continuously growing, I feel like there's always a new member of the family that I get to know.
We're willing to give. We're willing to serve others, and we're not expecting something in return.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
Life comes at you fast, so it's important to have some help along the way.
Ah, my favorite patient. Ah, my favorite patient.
When the dust settles, it doesn't always end as anticipated. Embrace the journey and care for the ones around you.
My favorite patient.
For everything else and every stage in between,
my favorite patient.
Methodist Sports Medicine is here for you.
Hello, my name is Sean Kroll, and I've been a part of the Indiana SRN family for the last 9 years. Last year, we streamed a record 326 sporting events around Central Indiana. All the other guys broadcast basketball and football, but we at Indiana SRN also air volleyball, softball, baseball, and even golf. But we need your help. To continue our mission, please help us by contacting Coach at indianasrn.org. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Never miss a big game by downloading the IHSAA TV app for free on any device. For your iPhone or Apple TV, check the App Store. On your Android or Android TV device, load up the Google Play Store. Have a Roku or Amazon Fire Stick? We have the app for you. Check us out on Facebook Live, Twitter, or YouTube Live by searching for IHSAA TV. Or as always, click to IHSAATV.org for quick and easy access to your favorite IHSAA live and archived events.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
Want to know what I like best about playing basketball for my high school? I like it because it's a place where my friends get to see me play. I like it because I'm playing for someone besides myself. I'm playing for everybody in my school and every person in my community.
Indiana high school sports. They're more than just a game.
Come and see me play.
Hi, I'm Matt Wolford, president of the IHSAA Foundation, and we need your help. We need your help so the youth of our community can develop advanced leadership skills. We need your help giving high school administrators and coaches the instruction and insight they need to be better role models and teachers. To learn more or to make a tax-deductible contribution, go to IHSAAFoundation.org. You'll not only be contributing to the foundation of the IHSAA, you'll be contributing to the foundation of our community.
Welcome back inside Covenant Christian High School, just above Andrew Smith Court. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Deventer as we are set for the championship game of the Bostic Memorial Tournament between the Covenant Christian Warriors and the Tipton Blue Devils. Before we go any further, though, as starters are announced for both teams here on Andrew Smith Court, let's go to Thad for his keys to the game. Thad.
I think first for Covenant Christian, they got to get out to a fast start. If they can get to 15 to 20 points in this first quarter, they're going to set the tempo that they want to play. The other thing for Covenant Christian, they got to rebound the basketball tonight, and that's going to lead to more transition buckets for them. So if they can rebound, push that tempo, get it down the floor, that's going to help them out. For Tipton, get back in that zone, pack it in. We saw that Covenant Christian made 18 threes earlier today. They're capable shooters, but you got to make them make some shots, contested shots with a hand in their face. That's going to be the keys for Tipton. The other thing for Tipton, got to handle the ball. If they turn it over 15, 20 times tonight, they're going to lose because it's going to let Covenant Christian get up and down and play their tempo.
We just heard from the PA announcer here at Covenant Christian High School, the starters for the Tipton Blue Devils. That'll be at one guard, number 2, a senior, Corey Von Felt. At the forward slot, a 6'2", senior, number 4, Noah Wolf. At the other forward position, a 6'2", sophomore, number 21, Nate Powell. At the other forward spot, a 6'2", senior, number 23, Dalton Money. And in the middle, a 6'7", senior, number 33, Ben Hummerkaus. At the other side of the court for the Covenant Christian Warriors, they'll start a 5-guard look. A 6-foot junior, number 3, Trey Flatt. A 5'10", senior, number 10, Ethan Maudlin. A 6'3", senior, number 22, Sam Fulbright. A 6'4", senior, number 23, Noah Hedrick. And a 6'3", sophomore, number 35, Brock Buckley. For the Warriors, they're coached by Scott Flatt, 150 and 168 in his 15th year at Covenant Christian. On the other side for the Blue Devils, Cliff Hawkins in his first year at Tipton, 8-1 on the season. His 39th year overall, a grand total of 505 and 360. Tipton in their traditional road blue unis with the white numerals and lettering and the black trim. Meanwhile, Covenant Christian in their usual home whites with the green jerseys and the black trim. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday evening in that weird lull period between Christmas and New Year's. Thankful that you're spending some time with us to catch some high school basketball here on Indiana SRN.
Yeah, Jimmy, I think tonight should be a pretty good test. Like we talked about, these are two 2A teams, both of them pretty ambitious about what their tournament success could be, so why not test yourself here mid-season in a tournament like this? And the other thing that Coach Flatt had mentioned and Coach Hawkins is that they like the way that this tournament is set up because it emulates what a regional setup would be, where you got to play 2 games in one day if you're able to advance to that level of the tournament. So it's a good test for these young kids to kind of feel what that is going to be like for them if they could get there down the road.
Hummerkaus taps it, matched up with Hedrick, but it's tapped right to Covenant Christian, and they will start with first possession. We're underway here on Andrew Smith Court. Ethan Maudlin for Covenant, controls at the top. Tried to go fast right from the opening tip, but as Thad alluded to, Tipton wants to slow this down as much as they can, and they're quick to do that early. Flat kicks in the baseline, and it's turned over. So a good opening defensive possession for Tipton. Get their first look on offense now.
The thing about Hummerkaus is he's listed at 6'7", he's a senior, but he's very capable of playing on the perimeter. He's not just a post player at 6'7".
Yeah, he's listed as a guard in the program as that shot almost banks in from the wing by Wolf, and Covenant Christian will look to push. Flat down the lane, had it stripped, and it went off his knee out of bounds to Tipton. You mentioned Hummerkaus, listed at 6'7", and one with they are. That's a big man that's going to go, post up down on one of the blocks, but listed as a guard in the program and on max preps due to his versatility and able to stretch the floor.
Yeah, here comes the full court pressure here early from Covenant. Like we said, they want to just try to get Tipton to play just not even that up tempo, just faster than they want to play, faster than they're comfortable playing.
On the wing is Noah Wolf, a senior. He feeds inside to Money, turning and can't get a friendly bounce. That was Powell rather. Rimmed out on the board, taken by Covenant Christian. Just look at the fast-paced tempo so far in the first minute and a half of this ball game. Tipton doing a good job getting back defensively. Hedrick to the rim, lays it up, lays it in. He had 48 in the morning session, as Thad mentioned in our first segment of pregame. Set a school record with those 48 points, and Did it from beyond the arc as well with 10 3-pointers. Money is such in the corner. Dalton knocks down the triple and gives Tipton their first lead.
And that's how you want to break the press. You got to get it to the middle, and then you've got guys on each wing that can fill it up.
Maudlin from the baseline misfires on that jumper. Rebound to Hummerkaus. He averages just under 9 a game. Nice behind-the-back move there, showing off the handles that we talked a little bit about. Not the prettiest of things, as is always the case for a big man, but still the fact he can put it on the deck is a useful asset for the Blue Devils.
And his size against a full-court pressure is just such an asset that not very many people have. A guy that can just look over top of the defense and throw it ahead.
Sent back, returned to sender by Buckley, and now here's the fast-paced tempo. Hedrick to the rim, lays it up, lays it in. Thought he might try to hammer that home, but he gives Covenant Christian the lead back. He's got all 4.
I think he was going for the flush. I think the defender met him up top.
I saw you pause for a second.
I was ready. I was ready for that.
Yep. Would have brought the roof down in the early stage of this one. They go inside to Wolf. And a turnover. The early miscues by Tipton, and the whole bench of Covenant Christian's very hyped about this. Let's take another look at that steal. Off to the races goes Hedrick.
See, he was lining up his steps. He was lining up. He just didn't have quite control over the basketball.
Didn't have control of the basketball, and Powell's effort to close there definitely made him alter what he wanted to do with his momentum. Hedrick, catch and shoot. Thought he knocked that down. He had 10 in the morning session. That looked perfect for him, but the iron's unkind. Nice pump fake. A lot of contact. They say play on. Hedrick has it. Up the floor they go. Maudlin hesitates. Off glass. Got it to roll down. 6-3, a 4-0 run for the Warriors.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. If they can rebound the ball on a missed shot, they will get out and go.
And the full court pressure once again being applied. It's tough to evaluate how good Covenant Christian is if you just saw them this morning, because they were clearly, in terms of their game plan and their overall talent, far superior than their morning session matchup. But if they can continue this pace, it's going to be a long night for the Blue Devils. Powell gives over to Wolf. Tipton kind of looking to reset things, and you mentioned it, Dad, just a simple setup there. Lob it to your big man. That jumper's off the mark, but Tipton's bailed out by a rebound. And now we'll have a foul on the floor. Good board by Wolf to extend that possession. Well, we mentioned it, and we didn't even say this when they were trapping. They just threw it down there to Hummerkaus when they were in trouble offensively. But if you're in trouble in the trap, just lob it up to the big fella. You got 2 defenders on you, give it up to him. Let the length go get the basketball.
It's just a good look at his versatility. His three's off the mark there, but he can post up. He's got some mid-range. He can be outside. He can handle the ball. Just pretty versatile for 6'7".
Layup is a wild one that time by Hedrick. He wanted a call. Officials say otherwise. And a moving screen, I think, is going to be the call against Tipton. Indeed, that is what it'll be. It'll go against Powell.
Again, that's just another case where the Covenant defense is just forcing them to play just a little bit quicker than they want to. The guy's not able to get into position where he wants to set that screen. It's not just about running up and down and getting as many shots up. It's just about making the opponent play a little bit quicker than they want to, than they're comfortable with.
Anytime you go a little faster than you want to, more than likely to make those mistakes. So far, that strategy's working for Covenant Christian. Flat to the rim, wild layup, could not turn it home, but it'll head to the line for 2 free ones.
And there's a good look there at what Covenant likes to do. They get a high screen and roll at the top of the key for Flat. He can make that move, and then you get Buckley diving to the rim, so he's there for a putback if Flat's able to miss. And then what they do on the perimeter there is you've got Hedrick and you've got other shooters out there lined up. So if Flat's not able to get all the way to the rim, he can dish it out, and they've got open guys that can make a shot.
First free throw is good for Flat.
Coach's son, obviously, Trey Flat, and just a junior, but man, he's played a ton of games. He's been playing since his freshman year. His younger brother on the team now as well, just a freshman.
Second one good also. Makes it 8-3. It's a 6-0 extended run and a loose ball on the deck. Nice effort play by Hedrick, but the long arms of Hummerkaus able to save it. Now he's going to pull up from distance and knock it down. That's a long 2. The official first said a long 2. Then he got help from the backside, and they'll say it's a 3. So long triple, 2 threes so far tonight, and there's that versatility once again of Hummerkaus.
See, there you go. Shot fake from Flat, dribbles into the paint, kick it out, another shot fake, opens up a wide open driving lane to the rim.
That makes it 10-6. Basket by Fulbright. And that time they tried to involve the big fellow in Hummerkaus. He threw a cross-court pass. It's turned over. Hedrick thought about a catch and shoot. Instead, he'll find an open man in Fulbright. Puts it on the deck. They'll reset things. Even as fast-paced as Covenant Christian likes to be, they'll take their time every now and again. That's enough of that, says Hedrick, but that triple's wide of the mark. And there's the hustle play from Flatt to extend the possession. They give it back to him. Reward him for three. That's long. Rebound. That time a big man's board by Powell. Hummerkaus picked up his dribble in a bad spot. Von Felt fires away. That one off the mark. Crashing the glass was Powell. Could not get it, though. Maudlin has it. Tipped it back on defense. Maudlin wanted to go spin cycle with it. Had his pocket picked. All alone. Three in the air. Fulbright knocks it down. He's got the last five. It's a 7-point lead for the Warriors.
Hummerkaus having some troubles getting it in.
Finds Von Felt. Hesitates. Nice bounce feed. Powell scores. Flat just a tad late on the help. They're answering blow for blow despite the 5-point deficit.
We've seen Tipton a couple of times now be able to break that pressure defense and get a bucket out of it, but when they haven't done that, they've turned it over too many times.
Left side. That shot's off the mark by Hedrick, and the rebound controlled and taken by Von Felt. He tried to find an open man, but that's turned over, and now Hedrick off the bounce feed scores it.
That was a heck of a pass there from Maudlin to Hedrick for that layup.
Hedrick now with 6, as Tipton still trying to solve this pressure. All alone in the corner, 3 in the air, 3 off the mark. Tipton unable to hit from downtown over these last couple of possessions. 6 of their 8 have come from beyond the arc, and there's that point of emphasis call, as on the pump fake there was Flat, but he shuffled the feet first. We mention this on every broadcast, I feel like, but the IHSAA made a point of emphasis to officials to call that a travel if the pivot foot leaves early when you're trying to shot fake a little bit before you go to the basket. You got to make that defining dribble first before you pick up the feet.
Sometimes when there's a point of emphasis, the officials feel almost obligated to call that. That time they got it right. Yep. Flat came into that one. He kind of hop-stepped as he caught the basketball and then went to put it down. That was a travel, but there's been other instances that we've seen this season where guys will, in my estimation, not travel, but it's been called because it is a point of emphasis.
Final minute of this first quarter. Always better when it's called because it happened, not because you feel like you're obligated to. Von Felt at the top. Finds Hummerkaus. Now they pass it around the horn. Von Felt hesitates. Tried to force it inside. It bounced right to Hummerkaus. He'll reset to Powell. Powell, floater. Got a friendly iron. Powell's got 4. It's a 5-point game. Great patience that time by the Blue Devils offensively. Not getting over-hustled.
Looks like 2-3 here finally from Tipton.
Triple in the air. Triple off the mark. Just hung on the lip of the rim. Then bounced out. Final 10 seconds. Tipton to hold for 1. A blistering pace early in this first quarter. Hummerkaus thought he was going to pull from half court. Around a screen with 3. Has to give it to somebody. Finds Powell. He was hacked, it looked like, but he banked it in anyway. So Nate Powell used a little bit of contact and rides a 6-point quarter individually for him. Half of the points scored for the Blue Devils. They still trail, though. It's Covenant Christian lead, 15-12 at the end of 1 on Indiana SRN.
Life comes at you fast, so it's important to have some help along the way.
Ah, my favorite patient. Ah, my favorite patient.
When the dust settles, it doesn't always end as anticipated. Embrace the journey and care for the ones around you.
My favorite patient.
For everything else and every stage in between,
my favorite patient.
Methodist Sports Medicine is here for you.
Welcome back to Covenant Christian High School, 15-12 the score advantage Covenant Christian. You're already part of this game. Why not be a part of all our broadcasts by subscribing to our YouTube channel? On YouTube at Indiana SRN. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and never miss a second of the action. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Devender. It's a 3-point Covenant Christian lead, but Tipton used some patient offense down the stretch of that first quarter to keep this in a 3-score game.
Yeah, a couple of big buckets there in that final minute and a half for the Blue Devils to cut it to 3 points. Like we said earlier, though, in that first quarter, there's been a couple of instances where they've broken the pressure and they've got easy buckets, either a layup or an open three. There's been other times when they've been into the half-court set where they've been forced into turnovers. It's not really the full-court pressure. It's that they're breaking the press, and then they're just already sped up, and they're not calmed down enough to take care of the basketball on the offensive end.
That's where it's led to the biggest hiccups and mishaps. Got a much slower opening possession as Tipton will start the quarter with the basketball. Ummerkaus thought about a triple from the parking lot. Instead, he'll feed in the corner, and that three-pointer is down. Noah Wolf, whose average is about 16 a game, finally in the scorebook, and we're tied at 15. Flat controls in this extended zone, and it might be over and back. Oh, they're going to say it was tipped, so we'll play on. Warriors dodged a bullet there. Flat initiating the offense, forced to pass inside, intended for Buckley. It's turned over. Ummerkaus will walk it up the floor. Suffocating defense when any passes are attempted on the side of Covenant Christian. All the way down the lane that time was Powell. He was stripped. Like I'll say, it was last touched by the Warriors. Well, there's a certain art to being so persistent with the basketball, especially when you're against a team that wants to play up tempo, because you want to be precise with everything. But if anything goes wrong for you offensively, that doesn't matter if you're not being active without the basketball, if you're not using your passing lanes properly, it can lead to big separation on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it just forces you to be play a little bit cleaner than maybe if you were in a more traditional type of setup. And there's a good move there by Wolf.
Wolf now with 5. Has all 5 in the corner, or excuse me, in the quarter rather. Bounce inside, that's now over as Graham Shelton, who checked in during the quarter stoppage, has his first basket, and we're tied at 17.
And Tipton's shown a little bit of a different look defensively here to start the second quarter. It's like a 2-3, but they're really trapping once the ball gets to the sidelines. That time they gave up an open baseline cut.
We saw once they forced a turnover in the first minute when the Warriors were a little bit too frenetic, because that shot is off the mark and the rebound's grabbed by Buckley, and then you see the other side of it where it leads to open passing lanes. There's one right there. Beautiful transition basketball as Brian Lomax hits the layup on the other end. It's set into the cheap seats.
Gotta love that. Big guy hustling down the floor, gets the block.
And not only that, it was Shelton who had the layup a few moments ago. So he just went full speed after hitting that layup and sent that into the bench. 2-point advantage for Covenant Christian. They forced the turnover there.
Good call there that time.
Shuffle the feet that time.
That time Lomax came into the paint, and he first had the idea that he was going to go Euro step, and then he got into the paint, and the defender was right there, and then he tried to take an extra step before he kicked it out. That time probably would have been better off with a jump stop and then trying to finish off of 2 feet.
Yep. But again, Tipton making the defensive adjustments. There is such a thing as playing too fast, believe it or not. Though this early pressure applied by Covenant Christian in the half court, in the full court length rather, has really been giving Tipton problems. Able to get through it successfully here. It leads to a nice jump hook by Powell. And what's the call? Something on the court.
I think some debris.
Yep.
Yeah, you kind of brought that up about playing too fast. There's the old adage that people always say, you want to press a pressing team. Well, maybe you don't have to full court press them. What they're doing down here when they're running these traps at Covenant Christian, what Tipton's doing is they're forcing Covenant to just play very quick on the offensive end, which they did not do in the first quarter.
It's such an aggressive zone look. You mentioned it, Dad, but really this possession's the fastest we've seen it, continuing to crash the corners, and I would assume try to take away the three-pointer that's so prevalent within the Warriors offense. Well, you do what you can, but Fulbright ends that game quickly bumps the lead back to 3 for the Warriors.
Well, it's definitely a 2-3 kind of base defense, but they are really attacking and really trying to trap every chance they get. And what they did there, Covenant, they got the ball finally into the middle of the defense, and they found Fulbright open in the corner.
Humrickhouse picked up his dribble in a horrible spot. Shot up, it's an air ball. Saved, though, by Humrickhouse. They had him again in the corner if they wanted him. Could not find him, though.
Good possession here from Tipton. They're really taking their time. Covenant defense is a little lacking right now from what we saw in the first quarter.
Swan,
and as I say that, they get a steal.
Yep, Swan tried to feed it into Wolf, and then a loose ball foul called against the Blue Devils.
You know, the other thing we didn't touch on a lot in the pregame show, Jimmy, was that the fact that Covenant can go 8, 9, sometimes even 10 deep. So they're able to really go deep into the bench. They can get guys a lot of minutes, specifically early in the game. They want to play that pressure defense that allows those legs to stay fresh once they get late into the fourth quarter.
After the brief stoppage with some subs at the table, it'll be Warrior basketball. Ethan Maudlin in there. Maudlin, Fulbright, Crane, Shelton, and Hedrick out there for the Warriors. On the other side of things, it's Swan, Money. Humrickhouse says that's going to be tipped by the Blue Devils, so it'll stay here. So it was Money, Humrickhouse, Edwards. Flat set to come back into the game. And then Powell for the Blue Devils. Triple, straight on. That's long, and it falls right into the hands of Swan.
Great look ahead there from Swan.
And one. Edwards off, as Thad mentioned, the nice feed from Swan and a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
No hesitation there from Swan. He caught it, and he just baseballed through it, rifled it right ahead to Edwards, who lays it up and in.
Well, we talked about, as anybody would see if you go to a high school game around the state of Indiana, or really at any high school level, they're not exactly long quarters. So when you see the type of points as the free throws misfired, when you see the type of points that the Blue Devils have put up this year, you know that they have the ability to go out and get buckets as well, especially with fine-tuned passes in transition like we saw there from Swan.
Yeah, and like they've kind of played in multiple different ways. This year they got a win over Franklin where that game was played into the 30s. So they can put some points on the board, and they can kind of chameleon themselves, and kind of fit in where they get in and figure it out.
Swan, a steal. That ball hit him in the face, but he's able to gather it. Now works the crossover. Needs some help, though. Forces a pass. Hedrick got away with a bump. It'll stay on this end. That's been the one bugaboo, at least that I've noticed out of Tipton, is they are picking the ball up in very precarious spots on the floor. Once you cross the timeline, we're seeing it 30 feet away from the basket, picking the ball up, and you're in need of help, and that gives the quickness of Covenant Christian an opportunity to go and get a hand on it in the passing lane.
Yeah, they've escaped a couple of those situations, but sooner or later those will catch up with you.
Foul away from the basketball. I think it was against Flat. Indeed it is. He looked like he was battling for position down there with Humrickhouse. Both teams with 3 fouls each. We're nowhere near the bonus. Catch and shoot for Money. Got it. That's a long 2. He's got 5, his first points here in the quarter. And for the first time since the early stages of the first quarter, the Blue Devils have the lead. Warriors trying to feel out this zone with some skip passes. Want to get into the middle and try to attack. They do there as Hedrick hesitates a bit. Buckley. Now over to Maudlin. Hedrick. He'll work. A little jump stop. It's sent back by Humrickhouse.
Nice job there defensively by Humrickhouse. He shows just enough to get Hedrick into the paint, and then he goes up and blocks it at the high point.
Almost reminds him as that fall-away shot is knocked in by Swan. It's almost like Hedrick forgot, the wingspan is also here.
Right.
He's baiting me, but
Yeah.
he's still got a little bit of a
That's
cushion
exactly what it was.
when he puts his hand up.
Near turnover.
More active hands there that time from Edwards. Hedrick controls. He mentioned he had 48 in the morning session. 6 here tonight, but all 6 came in the first quarter.
The other thing Tipton's done here, when they first went to this 2-3, it was
Flat in the
very
corner.
much they were trapping. Now they've backed off just a little bit, and they're forcing Covenant to really kind of just throw it around the perimeter and nothing finding its way into the middle of the zone.
And nobody really going to get a basket right now for Covenant. They doubled Hummerkaus, I think that tripled him nearly, and forced the turnover. Maudlin will reset things. $1:15 to go in this first half. Covenant Christian has led for most of the game, though it's been by anywhere from 2 to 5 points. They trail by 1 currently. Buckley gives to Crane. I'm surprised given the output, and this could be the exact opposite of Covenant Christian's style, but given what Hedrick did in the morning, I'm surprised they're not trying to get him the basketball a little bit more. But again, that might go to your point of what you said with Coach Flatt, where he's not forcing anything. They're playing within the offense. Another great block that time by Hummerkaus. He'll stay here. Maybe that's him not forcing things. Maybe that's just letting the offense come to the team versus focusing on a player that just had a high-scoring outing.
Yeah, there's Hedrick has a tendency in certain occasions to really kind of force it. He didn't do that in the morning game. Coach Flatt was really happy. Anytime you make 10 threes, you're making a lot of shots. But he said, he didn't force any of those jumpers. He let the offense kind of come to him.
Flatt catch and shoot in the corner. That's long.
And he was like, he just liked kind of his, he was assertive when he needed to be, but he still let the game come to him. But the way that they've looked offensively here in this second quarter, that may change once we get into the second half.
Wolf controls. The Blue Devils might hold for one shot here, given the 3-point lead. Now Edwards at the Covenant Christian logo at midcourt with 10. Powell gives to Wolf. Back to Edwards, and he lost the basketball. Bodies on the deck. Wolf gets it back with 3. Lobs it up. It's stolen. Flat. Nice pass at the horn. Does it count? Let's see, it does. Beautiful extra pass by Flat. That layup is good. Let's take one more look at that. Frenetic pace all over the place.
Look at this. No rush there from Flatt. Knew exactly how much time he had. Gets it to Maudlin. As you can see the red line around the backboard. Clearly out of his hand. Bucket good.
Heads up play by Flatt. Great presence of mind by Maudlin to not waste any time getting that shot up. It's still, though, a 1-point lead for the Blue Devils of Tipton. 25-24 over the Covenant Christian Warriors at the halftime break. Stay with us. We'll have the second half action after this. You're watching High School Hoops, the Bostic Memorial Tournament on Indiana SRN.
If we've seen one thing in the story so far, it's that after things went wrong in the garden, the relationship between humans and God was less than perfect. But time after time, God continued to rescue and provide for humans. We left off with the Israelites wanting a king like other nations. So God used the prophet Samuel to select a man named Saul. Saul was strong and popular and seemed like the perfect choice for a king. And at first, Saul did a great job. But eventually, he turned his back on God and started to do what he wanted instead of what God wanted. So God began looking for another man who could be Israel's king. God used Samuel once again, this time predicting that a young shepherd boy named David would succeed Saul as king. David's own family thought the idea was crazy. David was the youngest of 7 brothers, and the other 6 were all bigger, stronger, and more fit to be the king. Until one day, when David showed he had exactly what it took. Israel was at battle with the Philistines, and they were being mocked and threatened every day by a giant soldier named Goliath. Though no soldier in Israel's army would stand up to Goliath, David ran into battle against him, armed with only a slingshot and some stones. David slung the stone and knocked Goliath down, then cut off his head. Now, David became something like an instant celebrity in Israel. Sort of like LeBron James, just with a slingshot instead of a basketball and, well, no $20 million a year contract. And eventually, David did in fact become king of Israel. He was a totally different kind of king than Saul was, committed to God and committed to being the blessing to others that God had always wanted Israel to be. He wasn't perfect, but he was somebody who loved and followed God. Eventually, David passed his kingship to his own son, Solomon. Solomon grew up to become the wisest man who ever lived, using his great wisdom to help the Israelites make very difficult decisions, and also to write books of wisdom found in the Bible. The funny thing is that even with all that wisdom, Solomon made his share of mistakes as well. He married women for political alliances and protection instead of trusting God. Eventually, his lack of trust left the kingdom vulnerable. For all his great wisdom, he led the people to trust in the wrong things. Yet, under Solomon's rule, Israel was peaceful and prosperous. But if we've been paying any attention to the story so far, times like these don't seem to last very long. It was only a matter of time after Solomon died that Israel would find itself in a whole new world of trouble. And yet, as always, God would provide a way out.
Your home and office make up a big part of your world. Sometimes trying to manage it all on your own can make you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And when the weight of the world is on your shoulders, you need a strong back or two to come to your rescue and haul your stress away. You need the College Hunks. Whether it's time to clear some space for new memories, to reinvent the room around you, or to simply pack up and move into a fresh new beginning, you can count on the Hunks to bear your burden so you don't have to. Let us move you today.
Fun fact, did you know that an estimated 16,000 books have been written about former President Abraham Lincoln? 16,000! About one guy! How could so many books be written about a guy who only lived to be 56? Well, one easy answer is that he was an amazing guy and that he did some amazing things, especially during his time as president. But still, enough to fill 16,000 books? Well, here's a thought. Maybe it's not just because of the number of things Lincoln did, but the number of perspectives that people have on him. A perspective about his early life, his decision-making process, or about how he might have even hunted vampires. Not so sure about that last part. Even the people who lived and worked with Lincoln provide different perspectives about who he was. Just like each of our friends and family would provide just a little different perspective about each of us. Well, it's no different with the person we're going to spend the next few weeks talking about, Jesus. You think 16,000 books about Lincoln is impressive? There's hundreds of thousands of books that have been written about Jesus, far too many to count. And that for a guy who only lived on earth for 33 years. Today, we're going to talk about 4 of these books. These 4 books are pretty special because they can be found right in the Bible. They were written right after the time that Jesus lived, and some of them written by people who knew Jesus personally. These 4 books are often referred to as the Gospels, which means good news. Each book gives us a unique perspective on who Jesus was and all that he did. Each author saw the life of Jesus slightly differently, and each author was actually writing their account of Jesus' life for a different audience. Now, while there's some difference of opinion about exactly who each author was, here's the most widely held beliefs. First, there's the book of Matthew, believed to be written by one of Jesus' disciples, who was a tax collector. Now, I'm not sure how you feel about the IRS, but I'm guessing tax collectors don't rank high on your list of favorite people in the world. But that's nothing compared to the way folks felt about tax collectors like Matthew. A big part of this was that tax collectors back then did more than just collect what was owed. They often cheated people out of their money. So, Matthew wasn't very well liked, but that didn't stop Jesus from inviting Matthew into his inner circle of followers and showing him unconditional love and a new way of life. Then there's the book of Mark, written by a friend of one of Jesus' first followers. An interesting note about the book of Mark is that the author was most likely writing to a predominantly non-Jewish audience. The perspective he gives is an action-packed account of the many miracles and healings Jesus performed. Next up, the book of Luke. According to Christian tradition, Luke was probably the kind of guy every Jewish mom wanted her daughter to end up with. He was a doctor and probably well respected in the community. Now, we don't know if it's because he was an educated guy or not, but Luke's book reads a little bit more like a historical account of the story of Jesus. And finally, there's the book of John. Now, we all know you're not supposed to play favorites in life, and it's pretty hard to imagine that Jesus had favorites amongst the disciples. But it does seem that if Jesus had a best friend, it was John, the author of this gospel. What seems central to John's perspective is that Jesus was more than just a man, a great teacher, or prophet. Maybe more than any of the other gospel writers, John emphasizes that Jesus was, in fact, God in human form living on earth. John closes his book by saying that what he's written is only a sliver of all that Jesus said and did. In fact, he says that if every amazing event in Jesus' life were to be written about, all of the books in the entire world wouldn't be enough to contain it. No offense to Abraham Lincoln, but I'm glad it's Jesus we'll be talking about the next few weeks. How about you?
Welcome back to Covenant Christian High School. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Divender. 25-24 the score at halftime. Third quarter just seconds away. Advantage to the Blue Devils of Tipton. But despite a 13-9 second quarter for Tipton, this game's still within arm's reach of Covenant, though, as you pointed out to me, Thad, before we rejoined our viewers for this third quarter, this is very much at the pace the Blue Devils were hoping for.
Yeah, this is right where Tipton wants this game. 25-24 here at halftime. It's kind of looking like, maybe first team to 60 gets the W here, and that is exactly where Tipton wants to be. They came in today averaging 68 points a game, but they're very comfortable playing a game in the 50s. And like I said, I think today is going to be first team to 60 is going to get this W.
Well, we have a second. I want to remind you that we are proud to be able to bring you high school action all across the state of Indiana on our Indiana SRN family of networks. But if you'd like to help us continue to grow our operations and give these student athletes a platform to display their skills, be sure to email coach@indianasrn.org.
And you get the opportunity to see more of Jimmy Cook. It's a win-win for everyone. It's just a win-win.
I would defer to yourself personally, but I mean, two good-looking fellas like both of us here on this webcast. All jokes aside, though, the real action is on the court as the third quarter begins with a jump ball tie-up and an arrow that will favor the Blue Devils.
Got a good shot. They got it inside. That time Tipton showed a 3-2 zone look. That's the first time we've kind of seen that from them on the defensive end, but they did a nice job. They got it down low to Fulbright. He kicked it out. Flat was open for three, just unable to connect.
Kind of been the story of that second quarter for Covenant Christian. Some near misses and forcing the issue at full-scale speed was Corey Von Felt right into the body of Edwards. Hedrick, who's going to pick up the personal. That's his first.
And we didn't talk about it at halftime, Jimmy. I don't want to get this in right now, but in that first half, the leading scorer for both squads, not really where we thought they would be. Hedrick with 6 points in that first half, and Humrickhouse for Tipton just with 3, but yet the Blue Devils right where they want to be here now, leading by 2.
Both free throws put in by Von Felt. Pushes the Tipton lead to 3. Their largest of the ball game. Flat, try to go baseline. 3 in the air, 3 off the mark, and Humrickhouse used the long arm of the law to try to get that board from out of the sky, but it tipped off last, I believe off of Powell, so it'll stay on the Warriors' end.
Again, another good look for Covenant, just unable to knock it in. And Coach Flatt talked about this with me before the game. You know, shot the heck out of it in that morning game, 18 threes. He said, I hope we didn't use all of them up. And right now, they're a little bit cold.
It has felt like not many left in the chamber. Yet they can't reload things. Flat gives the model at the top as they continue to try to solve the zone look. And you mentioned that from your conversation with Coach Flatt, Thad, that they knew his own look was coming, and it's really slowed things down for them. 3 in the corner. 3 to the bottom for Hedrick. His first 3 of the ball game. His 11th of the day, if you count the morning session.
Yeah, we'll see if that can get him going here in this second half. It's always great for a scorer to see that ball go through the net.
It's a great point to keep an eye on it as we roll through. Money, that was off the front iron, tried to follow his shot. Powell's there, spinning around on the deck. Closing late was Flat, bodies everywhere for this. And it's finally going to be a jump ball tie-up. That will lead to Warriors basketball. Gotta love the hustle on both sides.
It might be late December, but that had some hustle and grit to it like it was March.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Thought you were going to go the other way with it earlier in the calendar year, that maybe that was a fight for the fumble. Everybody going for that ball.
I was going to bring us Trey Flatt as a football player as well here for the Warriors, so he's not afraid to get a little scrappy in there and dive on that hardwood.
Well, you can tell he's a seeker for the rock. First to it on actually multiple times hitting the deck there for that loose ball. Arrow favors the Warriors, and they operate. That was a wild pass to Hedrick. He'll come inside the arc. That shot is off the mark. Rebound for Humrickhouse. They'll push ahead. Von Felt continuing to push the pace. Dribbles around. Nice handles there. Found Powell for the layup.
Nice job there by Von Felt. He just kind of works his way around the defense, finds a little crease, and then drops it off to Powell.
And kept operating with strong vision to make it a 2-point lead. Hedrick had some space. Instead finds Buckley. Corner. That's an air ball. Right into the hands of Powell. They give up ahead to Von Felt, and that time, was that tipped? No, it was not. Out of bounds off of the off of the Blue Devils, rather.
That time, Von Felt had the right idea. He just put too much mustard on that pass right there. He just needed to drop that in.
Be a 30-second timeout. We'll stay here. 5:19 to go in the third quarter. The 2-point advantage for the Blue Devils of Tipton over the Covenant Christian Warriors. This is the Bostic Memorial Tournament, the final edition of the Bostic Memorial Tournament. We mentioned a little bit at the top of the broadcast that the funds raised for the Bostic Memorial Tournament all go to the family of Scott Bostic, who was tragically killed on the 29th of January in 2005 on his way to officiate a college basketball game. And his 3 daughters, along with their mother, have been the beneficiaries of this great event, and now that their youngest daughter is in her senior year of high school and to wrap up her high school academic career, the event will reach its conclusion at a nice ceremony before this boys championship game tipped off that saw their mother and the 2 daughters obviously expressing their appreciation for what this event has done for them over the years. Out of the timeout, feed inside. Buckley contorts his body, got his own board, hangs it, sent back. Good adjustment there. I believe that was Humrickhouse that got the block, but Powell was also there as they kind of smushed Buckley in. He tried his best to get some contact, though, with the pump fake.
He had the opening on the first attempt, unable to connect, and then Humrickhouse was able to close and block it from behind on attempt number 2.
It will stay here, though. Flack quickly gets it in. They find Maudlin. Hedrick wanted to get the green light, but Money's there to shut that down. Little pump fake. Flat hesitates. See some airspace with the jab step. Now a reset at the top of this zone. They continue to work those skip passes. Buckley forces inside, and that's a steal. Again with the long arms is Humrickhouse.
And what they've done here on the defensive end is they've shown a couple different looks out of that 2-3, but primarily now they're kind of back into that 2-3 zone. It's all perimeter oriented on the outside for Covenant Christian. That time they were able to get it short corner, but they forced a turnover.
Well, the news is out that the Warriors
They
know
can
to
shoot
shoot
it
it from beyond the arc. Von Felt, catch and shoot. That one off the mark. Board to Flat. Here come the Warriors. Flat forcing the issue. Tried to draw some contact. I think that's off the arms of Buckley. I can't believe that. I say it was tipped. But I thought it was tipped. I agree with that. I just thought it was tipped by Buckley trying to get the board. But I'll keep it here. And Flat will be the trigger man on the right baseline. Flat initially looked Hedrick's way. Now he has to lob it, and that's easily picked off by Von Felt. It's a 1-on-2. Von Felt, a lot of contact. They say play on. He might have initiated some of that. Fulbright the board. Hedrick hesitates down the lane, and a blocking foul is called against Money.
That was just kind of an interesting sequence there, Jimmy. So Flat just basically throws it away on the inbounds. They go down to the other end. Von Felt tried to draw some contact, maybe a little bit out of control, and then quickly Covenant comes back. Flat was kind of still back there, almost cherry-picking style. They weren't able to get it up to him, but then Hedrick takes it in and gets fouled. Just kind of a weird scenario, just kind of weird sequence.
Very odd setup, to say the least. Couldn't agree more. First free throw is good by Hedrick. Have him for 10 unofficially. Makes it 11 and ties at 29. Well, I thought when you said it that first to 60 might have been a high mark. These teams are kind of teetering back and forth between whether or not they want that to be a reality. Might be less than that even. What a rejection by Buckley out of nowhere. Von Felt had no chance of seeing him.
Good close there by Buckley, the big man hustling down the floor.
Hedrick gives the Flat, the pump fake. Back to him, all alone. That's short. Board controlled by Money. They'll give it not out to a guard. Well, a guard on paper, Humrickhouse, and he quickly gives it over to Von Felt. Nice crossover. Wolf. That's too strong. Put the board to Powell, and he's fouled from behind by Maudlin. And some Tipton faithful in front of us here. Proud of that whistle.
You know, just 3 minutes left in this third quarter. That's just the third foul here in this quarter, and I think there was only like 8 fouls called in the entire first half. So I know that maybe it hasn't been the cleanest game as far as there's been some turnovers and some action up and down.
Well, you know what? Nobody's forced the issue inside either,
Correct.
so they're not baiting officials to make any calls, really.
A lot of jump shots here this evening.
Powell gives to Wolf and feed inside Humrickhouse. Well, just as we say that, maybe we'll see a little bit of work inside the post. 3 behind him, blocked by Buckley. Got it again, might have got hit in the wrist. Humrickhouse scores it. So there you go. There's a little inside play. Humrickhouse is 5, and the lead is 2. Maudlin, high pass to Flat. Should be noted that Hedrick checked out during that
The other thing that
last timeout.
Yeah, the other thing Covenant's got to do against this zone is not just ball movement that beats the zone, but it's player movement. You got to get some guys moving.
Can't
some
have
guys
stagnant
cutting.
players on the
Right
wings.
now, they basically got 4 guys on the perimeter, and then Buckley's kind of running the baseline short corner to short corner. They've got no one kind of finding the little seams in the zone right now.
A blocking foul called against Wolf on that attempted baseline drive by Maudlin. So we'll stay on this end with just under 2.5 to play in this third quarter. A combined 11 points scored so far in the third. Make it 14 as that triple is good by Fulbright. His third of the evening, and he's got 11.
And, you know, sometimes just making a shot just kind of, you know, who cares if you have stagnant offense? They'll just make a shot. It doesn't matter.
Nothing better than a pure shooter and a slow snail pace of an offense. Wolf working, nice move in the paint, and that hook is good.
Cleared it out for Wolf, had all the room he needed, just kind of moving his way down, and then a nice spin and off the glass.
Fulbright was calling for it initially. Now Flat will reset. Lazy pass, but it goes to Lummox. He forces the issue. Floater off the mark. Rebound cleared by Powell. Hummerkaus gets it to a guard in Von Felt. $1:30 to go in the third quarter. Blue Devils with the basketball and a 1-point lead. They feed inside. Wolf, he scored there just a moment ago. A lot of contact. Wild shot, no. And that's going to be a loose ball foul on Flat. Great effort there by Powell. He got the position, and Flat kind of undercut him. Maybe inadvertently, but still enough contact for the whistle there, fighting for the board.
That's what I was going to say. That foul came because of the hustle and the desire there from Powell. He was really crashing that offensive rebound. Flat just kind of turned right into him and bumped him, and that's got to be a foul call that you have to make, and he did.
Wolf will be the trigger man. And maybe a timeout here? No, excuse me, the late inadvertent whistle by the official. And it's inbounded. Powell works inside. Might have hit it off his leg. Indeed he did. Powell got a little bit too eager there in the paint. Good defense by Flat. We'll see another sub as it'll be Mylan Swan checking in for Corey Von Felt for the Blue Devils.
That was a nice job there defensively for Lomax from Covenant Christian. Just kind of dug in there just enough, and Powell knocks that one off his own knee.
Flat will walk it up with just over a minute left in the third. And the zone being extended by Tipton. Flat pressured. They work it to Buckley. He goes baseline. He turned it over. Thought he had a cutter in Fulbright. He did not. How about Lummox, though, forcing the issue there and trying to get a turnover. He can't. Here come the Blue Devils. Hummerkaus pick up his dribble in a terrible spot. Might get a 5-second count called against him. What a cut by Wolf. He contorts but can't turn it home. That'll head to the line for 2 free ones.
And Wolf completely bailed Hummerkaus out there. He was in no man's land against the sideline. 5-second violation was about to be called. Wolf makes a good cut, and he finds the open man.
Well, we talked about it on the negative sense with Covenant Christian. That's what happens when you're not stagnant. Sometimes you need to be bailed out when you have active players moving through passing lanes. You can get lucky with a break like that.
100%, Jimmy.
Wolf, first free throw is good.
You know, Wolf came in tonight. 16 points is what he was averaging coming into today. You know, he scored 5 points in that first half, but he's really been much more aggressive here in this last 2 to 3 minutes of this third quarter than we've seen the entire night.
Splits the pair there, but gives the Blue Devils a 2-point lead. Just over 30 seconds to go in the third. Warriors being very deliberate. Very counter to their offensive style, and still a lot of stagnant players on the wings. Flat works it to Buckley. I don't know if it's because Hedrick isn't out there and he's at the scorer's table right now, but they're not being as aggressive as they have been.
Just very passive. Everyone's just kind of passive. They catch the ball. They're not really in triple threat position right now.
Final seconds. Hanging. Maudlin got it at the horn. Ethan Maudlin. Well, you can have a broken offensive possession, but as we alluded to at times in that third quarter, if you can get yourself a bucket like that and it goes in, you're happy with it. We're tied at 34 at the end of 3. Don't go anywhere. Final quarter up next on Indian SRN.
Our family has been very happy working with Wallflower Pictures,
because they make sure that I get the acting skills that I need in this industry and the education that I need.
Wallflower Pictures supports UV's journey in the industry. They're very passionate about his growth, and they're very professional and attentive to our needs.
And I truly believe in the projects I've worked on, like For the Boys and The Walk.
We love working with Wallflower Pictures.
Welcome back to Covenant Christian High School. We're tied at 34 between the Blue Devils and the Warriors. You're a part of this game. Why not be a part of all of them? Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Indiana SRN on YouTube and click that subscribe button to not miss a second of the action. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Dievender. This has been a good one so far, but my friend, I think your 60 mark might be wrong. I think it might be first to 50 the way that third quarter was played out.
I had the assumption that once we got late into the fourth, we would be in some bonus situation and there would be some fouling that would put us over the hump to get to 60, but I think we're going to come up short of that. Regardless, though, we finally saw some shots being made for Covenant Christian. Not a lot, but they made some down the stretch of that third quarter. And they can keep that going. They've got a great shot here in the fourth quarter.
Humrickhouse, top of the key, no. Good box out by Lummox. Here come the Warriors. Maudlin hit the brakes, found Hedrick. He hesitates. Fulbright puts it on the deck. Maudlin, foul line, good. Maudlin hit the buzzer beater to end the third quarter. It's a 4-0 run for the Warriors, and they have the lead again at 2.
Maudlin not really a three-point shooter, but that time he used the shot fake. 2 defenders run at him. He just one dribble right at the free throw line, knocks in the J.
See what kind of answer they have. That's from the volleyball line for Edwards. It just clicks the rim. Powell scooped it up and ties it. Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than dominant.
Yeah, sometimes you miss a shot so poorly that it's good for your own team, and that was the case right there for Tipton. Barely grazing the front of the rim and falls right to Powell.
Feed inside. Fulbright hangs. Fulbright scores.
Here comes that offense.
It's starting to click for the Warriors. Lead back to 2. See what answer the Blue Devils can come up with here. Humrickhouse wants it. He's the volleyball line. He will not pull the trigger. Now Money. Back to Wolf. Edwards has it. Risky feed into Humrickhouse, and he was being grabbed by Fulbright, the trailing official will say, which affected his ability to go get that basketball. So wipe the steal away, give the foul to Fulbright, and it'll be Blue Devil basketball, baseline right.
Late whistle, but the correct call.
Yep.
Sometimes the officials want to play it out. If Humrickhouse is able to still bring that pass in, maybe you let that foul go. But once that is thrown away and it's a steal, you got to blow that whistle.
One of the rare times we've seen Trey Flatt take a seat on the bench. Brings a lot of energy to this team. He'll be replaced by Buckley, you would assume from a sizing perspective. Blue Devils get it in. Humrickhouse has it at the volleyball line. Wolf measures. That pass was partially tipped, but it might have helped the pass. That triple could not be hit by Money. Rebound, Powell. Von Felt resets things. Matched up with Maudlin. Working the handle that he's bumped. Well, credit that to Maudlin. He used the nice handles to create a little bit of separation, and in order to recover, Maudlin made body contact.
Yeah, we talked about this in the pregame, too, that we thought defensive rebounding was going to be a key for Covenant. Right now, Powell and Wolf are really crashing the offensive glass.
And that time, Wolf and Von Felt just catch the Warriors' defense napping. We're tied at 38. No shot, they'll say.
That was on the floor.
It'll go on Von Felt. His first. And the third on the team. 6 team fouls on the Warriors of Covenant Christian. There's a steal by Von Felt. Hold that thought. Von Felt and Hedrick. Nice turnaround floater. And the crash by Wolf. Well, that's what we call a dollar spin, but a nickel finish. But thankfully, Wolf's there to crash it along and give the Blue Devils a 2-point lead.
Well, Wolf gets the bucket, but that play, all of that sequence was all Von Felt.
Yep. Hedrick kicks in the corner. 3 in the air. 3 just short by Fulbright. And man, Humrickhouse makes those rebounds look so easy. Quickly up ahead now. Come the Blue Devils. That was almost a carry. Powell inside, scores. And you might see a timeout by the Warriors. This is the largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils. Extended trap, almost an over and back. Bounce feed inside. Fulbright, a power dribble. That was a flop and a half. No, they'll call it a charge. Oh, my. Von Felt sold that. If anything, he might have gotten more action from the wind.
Tough call there on Fulbright, but the thing is, I know that Von Felt, threw himself to the court there, but Fulbright, when he lowers that shoulder, he opens up the possibility there
that
that's going to go against him.
There's room for interpretation of a charge. That's fair. And there Fulbright trying to do the same thing.
And Fulbright picks his pocket.
And it's sent back by Hummerkaus. Well, things are starting to get a little bit chippy here. It'll stay with the Warriors. Flat the drive, and that's a block, but that seemed like more so the other way than the last charge that we saw. Either way, the Tipton faithful around us in a tizzy, and it'll send Flat to the charity strike. As all this dust clears, it's a 4-point lead for the Blue Devils of Tipton. Flat can go to the line to cut it to as low as 2. And in a game that was so cleanly played for 3 quarters, fouls are starting to rack up a little bit.
I thought we would get to some free throws here in the fourth quarter, and that looks like that's going to come to fruition. A couple of big ones here early, though, for Flat early in this fourth.
First one, short. Sub at the table. It'll be Lomax. Subs out Maudlin. Flat will have one more to try to make this a 3-point game. Just over 2 minutes gone in this fourth quarter, and it's a 3-point game. Ooh. Almost a turnover. Wolf gets it across. Now they got some numbers. Wolf takes it himself. A lot of contact and one. Noah Wolf, a big man's drive and a chance for a 3-point play.
No one on the defensive end ever slid over and stopped the ball. That's the number one rule. You got to stop the ball. They didn't do that. Wolf gets all the way to the rim and one.
From early youth days. Two old adages that you'd see at least from the CYO level would be keep your hand in the cookie jar, get a follow-through going, and stop ball.
Stop ball.
No one did it there, as you mentioned, Thad. But a loose ball foul will go against the Blue Devils, so no 3-point play there. But it does push the lead back to 5 and makes a new mark for largest lead of the game from Tipton.
And here comes some full court pressure here from Tipton. Looks like a 1-2-2. We'll see if they maybe run and jump or trap out of it.
Let's see how quickly the Warriors, if they are able to break it. Flat, looks like he might run into trouble. Fulbright down the lane. Over to Hedrick. A reset. Flat trying to be quick with it. Hedrick wants it. Hedrick takes it. Shoots. No, it's just long. He's got a couple good looks tonight. Lummox goes into the bleachers to get that. Loose ball on the deck. And a timeout will be granted. It will be. Heads up play by Buckley to get that timeout in there. Hits the deck. Made contact with the officials. Full timeout will take one as well. 5-point advantage for the Blue Devils on Indiana SRN.
Life Centers offers love and compassion to all women and men who come through our 8 centers. The goal of this love and compassion is that we would not only save babies from abortion, but also transform lives and create families. The forms of this love and compassion are our services. All of our services are offered free of charge to our clients. To learn more about Life Centers, contact us at lifecenters.com or call us at 317-280-2635. Life Centers. We choose compassion.
Welcome back to Covenant Christian High School, 44-39, 8 advantage Blue Devils of Tipton. You're a part of this game. Why not be a part of all of them on Indiana SRN? Subscribe to us on YouTube. Search on YouTube at Indiana SRN and hit that subscribe button to never miss a second of the action. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Devender. So I believe you've chosen to spend part of your Friday with us over this stretch of the holidays. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all from us here at Indiana SRN. So out of this timeout, it'll be Warrior basketball. They trail by 5, largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils of Tipton. You expect to see a little bit more aggressiveness on offense here, Thad?
Got to see more player movement. We talked about it in that third quarter. They got to move without the basketball here. Even though it is a zone, you can still set screens and get some guys open.
Buckley finds Fulbright. He puts it on the deck. Back to Buckley. He'll hesitate. Flat. Nice pump fake again. That's a weakness in the zone there. But quickly back is Tipton. They find Flat now. That three's off the mark. Board is tapped at. Buckley's aggressive look-away pass that finds Fulbright. He'll hesitate. Lost the handle, and there's a turnover. Up ahead, look out. In space. Hummerkaus in one. Well, when you have a gazelle running freely with just a defender on the hip, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see a foul committed. You saw just that. Beautiful finger roll, and now can he turn it home for a old-fashioned three-point play.
There you see the versatility of Humrickhouse, but just a nice pass. So you lead your man out there, give him all kinds of room to run underneath the basketball. He's only got to put it on the deck for one, and he finishes at the rim.
Makes it a tie for the largest lead by either team. Extends the largest lead for the Blue Devils to 8 at 47-39. Well, this is a fast-paced offense for sure of the Warriors, but down 8 with how snails-like pace this game's been, through the strategy of Tipton, you're starting to sweat a little bit.
Well, they've extended this zone out a little bit further. They're just basically token pressure, but it's just costing Covenant some time to get into their set, to kind of get into their offense, and all that does is bleed some more time off the clock. Tipton's done a nice job of kind of containing them all on the perimeter, but this time Fulbright to the line.
If Thad mentioned it there, Fulbright forced the issue once they finally broke the pressure, threw some contact, but that free throw was way short. Wide of everything.
Looking around the perimeter, I don't know if anyone opened a door when he
Nice.
released that or not, but
Nice.
that was well off the mark.
Fulbright will have one more. That one much better. True to the norm. Cut the lead to 7. Pressure being applied by the Warriors. Tipton easily breaks it. Have some numbers. Now they work it back to Von Felt, who gives to Humrickhouse.
Now the Devils can show some patience here, but they still need to be aggressive. They can put this game away.
In a position to do that, whether that's playing keep away or going straight for the jugular remains to be seen. Humrickhouse almost extended the arm there. Officials say play on. They give it back to Humrickhouse. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that called the way that he's being bodied up, and that's a hand check call instead against Fulbright. Well, that's not what you want if you're Coach Flatt. That goes the complete opposite, and not only that, but it's double bonus in effect, so 2 free throws for Humrickhouse. That's the 10th on Covenant Christian.
Down 7, 3 minutes to go, 2:59 to go. You don't have a lot of options. You can extend the game here, but Humrickhouse, Wolf, Powell, Von Felt, they've all proven, not just tonight, but throughout the season, pretty quality from the free throw line. They shoot above 70% as a team, so you can extend the game, but you're going to have to start trading. You can't trade bucket for bucket. You're going to have to start getting threes when they're getting 2.
And we mentioned, we haven't followed Covenant Christian religiously all year long in terms of your or my assignments, but you know from this morning, as both free throws are made, that Hedrick has the ability to shoot from beyond the arc. Fulbright has shown he knows how to shoot from beyond the arc. I know you want to go full speed ahead, but you need to start initiating the offense a little bit. Flatt thought there'd be a foul called there initially. It was not. Instead, it's a turnover. And that makes it Blue Devil basketball with a 9-point lead in hand, and now we're starting to get into full-scale danger territory for the Warriors.
Still going with a man-to-man here, but we'll see at some point if they elect to go with a trap or maybe a 1-3-1 here in the half court.
And the more this time ticks away, the closer we're getting to starting to foul territory. Von Felt in trouble. Powell gets it to Wolf, and he traveled, shuffled the feet. So there's a turnover that the Warriors were looking for. But again, points-wise, they've been very hard to come by in this quarter for Covenant Christian.
Look, you're down 9. You got 2.5 to go. You've got time in this game, but what you got to do, you got to get stops, but you just got one, and you got to get some buckets. You have to score on this possession.
Caleb Crane checked in a few moments ago, maybe for a little bit of extra energy. Buckley gets to Fulbright. He hesitated. Back to Buckley. They find Hedrick. He hit 10 in the morning session. That one well short, though. Humrickhouse trapped, forces it to Wolf. Nobody was there. A blown assignment. Wolf had his pocket pick from behind, though. Crane's there to get it. Sloppy all over the place. Warriors nevertheless have the basketball. Fulbright had a cutter, and Crane hesitates and scores. There's a blown assignment by the Blue Devils, lead down to 7.
And that's what we haven't seen enough of from the Warriors. Guys cutting into the paint, just finding little openings in that defense.
Von Felt, heavily pressured by Flatt. Flatt trying to force a turnover, and they get it to Humrickhouse. He shot those free throws calmly, and he's got your most length on the floor. Wouldn't be surprised if you want the ball in his hands as often as possible. And a travel is going to be called against Humrickhouse.
Tough call there against Tipton.
So just over 90 seconds to go. And a timeout's going to be taken by the Warriors. It's a 30-second timeout. We'll stay here. So $1:33 to go. Jimmy Cook alongside Thad Van Devender. Thad, this margin's down to 7. It was as high as 9. Covenant hasn't been able to generate offenses at will. They've been persistent. You put up 42 so far, but you need to be a little bit more active all over the floor on those passing lanes, on those cuts. What's the message in that huddle right now to deliver that when you're going up against a tough zone the Blue Devils have employed?
Well, we talked about you got to get stops at the defensive end, but you got to cash those in with buckets at the other end. You've got another opportunity here. You've got back-to-back stops. If you go score here, you cut it to 4, possibly 3, depending on how things shake out here. What you got to do, whoever you want to go to, if you want to go to Fulbright, who's been the hot hand this evening, you want to go back to Hedrick, who's been the leading scorer all season long, you got to maybe – in this instance, you got to dial up your best set. What's your best set? What's the set that Coach Flatt feels most confident in? And you got to run that set for the guy that you want to get the shot. Who do you want to get that look right now? And that's where they got to go.
On top of that, it's also, in my mind, time to be selfish. Don't hesitate. If you have an open look and you're a shooter, take it. Flatt initiates. It's sent back with authority by Hummerkaus.
Well, that time they went 5 out, and they let Flatt go one-on-one with Vonfelt, which he beat Vonfelt to the lane, but Hummerkaus was there to close and close with authority.
The Warriors will try to settle themselves. That lead's still at 7. They force inside. A nice spin, power dribbles it offensive. It is. That charge taken cleanly by Wolf. He's been looking at it all night long. Finally draws one, and the guilty party there is Fulbright, but you seem dismayed by that one.
That's a tough call on a spin move like that. I do believe that Wolf was in position right there. He was in good defensive position. In my estimation, though, that was probably better off as being a no call.
I would agree.
Just a play on.
Play it on. Wolf has to get it in. He does to Vonfelt. Flatt's been giving him nightmares all night, but he's got to be careful with a hand check, and that's exactly what happens there. Flatt can't believe it. Both Coach Flatt and Trey. Vonfelt had a few words given to him from his fellow senior Hummerkaus, probably to stay level-headed. And unfortunately, with Covenant Christian being in the double bonus, it leads to 2 free throws.
And, we haven't talked about it much. Hummerkaus hasn't had the scoring output tonight that maybe we anticipated coming into this championship game, but you can tell that they lean on him for a lot. He's kind of their leadership guy. He's very calm. Very mature for a high school kid out there. He's kind of their guiding light, if you will, out there on the playing floor.
First free throw, though, off the mark by Vonfelt. They got to have the free ones, especially in winning time. It's still a 7-point deficit, so the Warriors have plenty of climbing to do, but the door is still being left ajar.
That's what I was going to say. It still leaves the door open here where you can go make up some points on the other end of your Covenant.
Vonfelt pushed it to 8. $1:15 to go. Maudlin in trouble. Force it to Buckley. They got to get it across, and they do. Crane gives to Maudlin. Works the crossover. Has Buckley. I got to start getting shots up. Maudlin has space. He won't take it. Under a minute now. Nice feed. Buckley scores. And a timeout taken by Covenant Christian. It's a full timeout. We'll take our last one as well. 53.6 to go. A 6-point lead for the Blue Devils. Covenant's knocking on the door on Indiana SRN.
How does a good man become even better? By working out? Or by working his way up the corporate ladder? By changing his diet? Or by changing his style? By traveling the world? Or by staying perfectly still? For 300 years, we've helped good men become the best versions of themselves through a dedicated fraternity and by taking an oath to live a life of integrity, service, and brotherly love. Men who are as committed to each other and their families as they are to our noble cause. In the end, we don't just make men better, we make them Masons. Not just a man, a Mason.
53 and 6 ticks left here from Covenant Christian High School. The Warriors trail by 6. Blue Devils with that lead in the basketball in the Bostic Memorial Tournament Final. Tipton won this ball game last year. Trying to make it back-to-back. They get it in successfully. Now back to Wolf. Wolf is fouled immediately. Doing no choice there with under 50 to go, and it'll send Buckley to the charity stripe.
Yeah, that was a good job there. They got the ball out of Von Felt's hands. They got it to Wolf. Wolf just 1 for 3 on the night from the free throw line. You would choose him over Von Felt to go to the stripe.
Debatably between a rock and a hard place, though, with those choices. But that free throw barely grazed the net. What a weird stretch here in this fourth quarter. Both teams, really.
This has just been the first 3 quarters were really well played, maybe not shooting percentage-wise. There was a little bit of turnovers, but we had a flow. The fourth quarter has been very herky-jerky.
He overcompensated there, and now it's just 2 threes away from being tied. Triple in the corner. That's long. Board misfired by Wolf. He saves it. Oh, he threw it off of the hip. Oh, my goodness. What a heads-up play by Wolf. He threw it off of the hip of Fulbright and kept the possession for the Blue Devils. What a hustle play.
Great job there by Wolf, running that down. It was off of his fingers, too, and it looked like Fulbright was going to allow it to just bounce out of bounds, and Wolf ran it down and threw it off of Fulbright before it goes out of bounds.
Some words exchanged by the officials to the extended Warriors bench. 38 seconds left to play here. Blue Devils hanging on to a 6-point lead. They get it back to Wolf. Wolf hesitates. They're not fouling just yet. Powell up ahead to Wolf. And that's the last guy you want to have it in Humrickhouse. No fouls being applied. Instead they're just playing for the force to turnover. Risky pass. 20 seconds left. And finally a foul is committed. And Coach Flatt is dismayed as he points up at the clock. You let almost 15 seconds come off there.
A lot of time came off that clock right there. You had to foul. Wolf had it in his hands a couple of times, but really once the clock gets under 30 seconds, it doesn't really matter who has the ball. You just got to get the foul.
Well, Wolf missed 2 a moment ago. No such luck that time, though, as he's regathered himself and pushed this to a 7-point lead. Crane checks back in for the Warriors as Lomax takes a seat on the bench. This to make it an 8-point game. That one pure as well. 17 seconds to go. The Warriors got to hurry if they want any hope here. Feed inside to Buckley, and that's the wrong way with the basketball. It's stolen away by Humrickhouse, and he's just going to dribble this thing out. Well, for the second year in a row, and in this the final edition of the Bostic Memorial Tournament, the Tipton Blue Devils are victorious over the Covenant Christian Warriors, 52-44.
Congratulations to Tipton.
Well, Dad, we mentioned it was a hard-fought outing for 3 quarters of play, and then things started to get sloppy, and Tipton rose above, walks away with this 8-point win.
Yeah, last year in this game, it was 51-48 was the final, so this game played, very reminiscent of what happened last year, but Tipton, give them a lot of credit. I thought they did a nice job defensively, kind of changing it up enough to keep Covenant Christian at bay. Covenant really didn't connect very well from the perimeter tonight as they did in this morning session, but overall, I think this is a really good test for both teams. Both of these teams in 2A have the ability to not only win their sectional, but have the talent to win some games once we get into March. And so this is a good test for each of these teams here at the midway point of the season.
Well, for both these teams, a little bit of a break. The Warriors of Covenant Christian will be back in action on January the 4th when they travel to Cecina to take on the Crusaders. That'll be a 7:30 tip and a longer extended layoff for the Tipton Blue Devils. They can enjoy this win. They'll next be in action when they host Yorktown on January 10th. That also a 7:30 tip. Be sure to go to indianasrn.org for all of our upcoming broadcasts. It's a full slate of games every week, especially as we get into the meat and bones of this high school basketball season. For Thad Van Devender and our entire staff and crew, again, Tipton wins the Bostic Memorial Tournament 52-44 over Covenant Christian. And until we talk to you next time, this is Jimmy Cook saying so long, everybody.